Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope your quarantining is going good. Fortunately for me, I'm still working. I'm still doing emergency power line work, so we're still employed. My wife, Jade, she's got some time off. She's a daycare coordinator, so that pretty well came to a halt right quick. And with all this extra time though, we've been working on stuff inside, obviously. So I've been working on getting the GSXR Project bike ready to go to be inspected whenever things finally start to open up. So I put gold forks on the bike. That was about a week ago. So pretty much my 750 forks, unfortunately, I somehow managed to get the wrong seals installed on them, and they were leaking right from the shop. So unfortunately, I brought them back in there, and then what I said to myself is, hell, I might as well just go buy a used pair of forks. So I found a pair of gold forks in Ottawa. I bought them for dirt cheap, so brought them down, installed them. I think they look pretty sweet. They definitely perform a lot better. They're way more smoother. So I was test driving the bike and discovered I had a big issue. From basically cold starting it to about 5 minutes into my ride, I'd have tons of power. Through first, second, third gear, the thing would just want to wheelie, you know what I mean? Like a real 1000, So that's all fine and dandy. Then after 5 minutes, though, the bike would really start to the performance just dropped completely. Like up to about 9,000 RPM, it was still pretty solid, but right around 9,000, I could leave the throttle wide open, and the bike would just start to jerk back and forth, like so bad it pretty much launched me right into my windscreen a couple times. So I'm thinking it's something to do with fuel. If you follow this channel at all, I have a video on derusting a tank. Well, unfortunately, I know I didn't do mine long enough, but it's rusty. Like, I think my tank was just too far gone. Now that it's all dried out on the inside here, it is looking pretty nasty. So I think I got a bunch of rust in there. I took the fuel pump off again, took it all apart, checked the pickup filter, and sure as shit, tons of rust in there. So, I basically tried derusting it. It looked good. I filled it with premium, left it for 3 months or whatever, and still no good. So I'm hoping the fuel pump's okay. I'm really hoping the injectors are okay. My next little project on this bike is to take this tank right into Toronto. I'm going to be getting it professionally cleaned and sealed. It's about 250 bucks Canadian. I'll put a link in the description for the company that does it. I found it online. A couple guys on a couple different forums are recommending it, so I thought I'd give them a shot. 250 is a pretty small investment if you can even find a tank, which it's damn near impossible to find one unless you're on Kijiji or eBay or something like that. And then they're usually pretty banged up. Like this tank is like a 9 out of 10, like 9.5 out of 10. It just has some rust issues, so I'm going to address those. Other than that, they get the tank cleaned. Hopefully the filter or the pump's okay. I'm going to do a pump test. I'll make a video on that. And then hopefully the injectors are okay. Like I was saying, I think the injectors are okay because the first 5 minutes when there is fuel in that system, there's tons of power. Like it's just crazy how powerful these bikes are, So I know like I'm getting good fuel in the beginning, so the injectors must be spraying good. So I'm thinking what it is basically when I hammer on it and start sucking in a large volume of fuel, that pickup filter is just getting clogged, and that's why I'm getting my jerkiness. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing sealed up. Another thing I wanted to talk about quickly are these Amazon gas caps. So one thing right off the bat I noticed when I installed this thing, and I should have just got rid of it right away, but there's the really, really tiny little vent hole, which is actually, if I look at it right here in the light, is actually half covered up by the gasket. So, there's been times when I actually had to take a pair of pliers to this to open it up because it was on such a vacuum, you know what I mean? So, it's just another classic thing. I don't know why I cheaped out. I wanted this bike to be a cheap project bike, but there's some things you just shouldn't cheap out on, and in my opinion, now that I know, like these cheap gas caps, like this one in particular, is no good. I have a video on how to install the gas cap, which would be similar for other gas caps, but I don't think I would recommend this one, to be honest with you. Like, I would drill this hole out quite a bit bigger so that the actual vent there has a fighting chance of venting, because really, like, this little piss flap of a hole ain't gonna do much. So yeah, that's that. I went ahead, I ordered a Vortex version 3, like a nice, $150 one. It's got multiple vents on it, so that should help as well, because you never want your tank pressured up like that much. It was crazy. Like, I'd open this thing up and fuel would just be spraying everywhere, you know what I mean? And yeah, so, and performance too, like, you need to have that airflow as well. So that's the next thing on the bike. Anyhow, if you own a GSXR 1000 or a 750 or 600 and you've been working on your bike kind of like I have, I would recommend you subscribe. I do have a few videos on changing the different parts on the bike and different maintenance items and stuff like that. And I'm continually making videos, so, as I run into problems like this. Yeah, so other than that, I'll catch you on the next one, and stay home.